The twin suns of Valara Prime lit up the grand palace like fire in the sky. Its silver tower sparkled, and glowing plants danced in the breeze. Flying ships moved in smooth lines, and elegant alien nobles in bright robes gathered near the royal hall. It was a special day. The human delegation had arrived. At the center of it all stood Princess Serenia, daughter of the powerful Empress Liara. Serenia was tall, with silver-blue skin and long white hair that floated like silk. Shining armor made of star steel and held her head high. She was not just a princess. She was a warrior, trained in the ways of battle, and commander of the elite royal guard. She watched the human ship land. It looked small and dull, not like the sleek ships of Valara. A ramp opened, and a group of humans stepped out, led by a man wearing a simple dark uniform. He looked calm, his hands behind his back. "This is their leader?" Serenia whispered to her guard. "He looks plain." The man was Commander Elias Kane, the human ambassador. He was average in height, with short dark hair and sharp eyes. No armor, no weapons, no glowing power, just a man in a simple suit. The Empress rose from her throne as Kane approached. "Welcome to Valara Prime," she said. Her voice was strong. "Like music wrapped in steel, it has been centuries since we last saw your kind." Kane bowed slightly. "Thank you, Empress. I come in peace and in hope." Serenia narrowed her eyes. Hope. It sounds like weakness, she thought. A tense beginning. In the days that followed, Kane and his team stayed in the palace. He attended meetings, listened to stories, and joined royal dinners. But he never showed any special skills, no great strength or hidden power. He was polite, quiet, and always thinking. To Serenia, seemed like a clerk or a scholar. It's not someone worth notice. She often tested him with sharp questions during dinners. "Your people have no psionic powers. No star-forged weapons. No healing. Fields, what can you possibly offer us?" she asked one evening. Kane smiled politely. "Sometimes it's not what you bring, it's what you do with what you have." A few nobles laughed. Serenia rolled her eyes. News from the frontier one. Night, during a royal banquet, a glowing messenger orb flew into the hall. It pulsed with red light and hovered in front of the Empress. The music stopped. All eyes turned to the orb. The Empress touched it, and a voice spoke. "This is General Solon from the frontier. We are under attack. The rogue warlord Dravik the Red has returned. He has taken 3 systems already. We request immediate help." Gasps filled the hall. Dravik was a name from dark history, a former Velaran general turned traitor. His forces were ruthless and smart, and now he was back. The Empress stood. "We will answer this threat. I send my daughter, Princess Serenia, and her finest warriors to stop him." Serena nodded proudly. Then the Empress turned to Kane. "Commander Kane," she said. "We'll go with them as an observer." A shocked silence followed. Serenia blinked. "Mother, with respect, he's not a soldier." The Empress raised a hand. "He is a guest, and he must learn our ways. Let him see how we fight." Kane gave a small bow. "I will be honored." Journey to Wartha, royal warship Skyblade left. Valara Prime the next day. Serenia, Kane, and her guard traveled across space toward the battlefront. Inside the ship, Serenia trained with her soldiers, while Kane spent time alone, studying maps and reports. One day she approached him. "You sit and read while warriors prepared to die," she said coldly. Kane looked up. "Preparation takes many forms, Princess. You'll hide behind our shields and claim you were brave. Is that your human way?" Kane didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the screen showing their destination. "You said Dravik has no fleets? Just raiders and storm riders, correct?" Serenia nodded. "Then why are his attacks so successful?" Kane asked softly. "Why do we win against your superior forces?" She frowned. "Because he cheats. He strikes from shadows. He doesn't fight with honor." Kane gave a faint smile. "Then maybe it's time someone else thinks like him." Rival. At the front they reached Arden 6, a Velaran mining world now under siege. Fires burned across its cities. Velaran soldiers fought to hold the line as Dravak's forces pushed forward. Strange energy storms covered the skies, making advanced weapons fail or misfire. Serenia let her guard down to the surface. Kain followed in silence. In the command tent, officers argued over tactics. Some suggested retreat. Others wanted to launch. A risky strike. Kain stood quietly listening. Finally, he spoke. "You're making decisions based on what should work," he said. "But this isn't a normal battlefield. Your weapons fail. Your shields flicker. You need to adapt." A commander growled. "And what do you know, human? You've never fought in these storms." Kain stepped forward and placed a small holomap on the table. "But I've studied every move Dravak made. He uses the storms. Wants you to. Rely on broken tools. But there are natural choke points here, here, and here," he pointed. "If you pull back and bait him in, you can trap him." Serenia raised an eyebrow. "That might work," she said. "It will," Kain replied. "Trouble begins, but before the plan could begin, disaster struck. Surprise attack hit the outer wall of the base. Explosions rocked the camp. Panic spread. Soldiers screamed. The energy storm above flared, and power grids failed. Shields dropped. Lights went out. Dravak soldiers charged in with strange beasts and old tech that worked inside the storm. The Velaran defense was falling apart. Serenia grabbed her blade. "To the front," she shouted. She turned to Kain. "Stay here. This is not your fight." Kain looked at the burning sky. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp like glass. "No," he said. "This is exactly my fight." Cliffhanger ending outside. The Velaran soldiers were being pushed back. The enemy broke through the outer defenses. Fires burned all around. Command posts were overrun. This was chaos, Serenia shouted. "Fall back to the center." She turned to see Kain walking alone toward the enemy. No armor, no sword, just a strange device glowing on his wrist. She called out, "What are you doing?" Kain turned his head slightly and said in a quiet voice, "Tell your soldiers to fall. Back. I'll handle this." She stared at him. "You can't stop them alone." He looked up at the burning sky and said, "Maybe not. But I'm not alone. I'm human." The scene ends with Kain stepping into the smoke and fire alone facing an army that had never lost. Smoke and ash filled the air. The sky was red with fire. Screams echoed across the battlefield as Velaran soldiers ran back toward the command center. Shields were down. Weapons had stopped working. Everything was falling apart, and in the middle of it all walked Elias Kain, the human. He moved slowly, calmly, like he didn't feel the fear that gripped everyone else. His uniform was simple. No armor, no weapon. Just this strange glowing device on his wrist, and something strange in his eyes' focus. "Princess." Serenia stood frozen, watching him from behind the command wall. The enemy tall, armored raiders with beast-like machines charged straight toward the human. A young Velaran captain grabbed her arm. "Princess, we must retreat. He will be killed." But Serenia didn't move. She whispered to herself, "What is he doing?" The human's first move, Kain tapped the glowing device on his wrist. Blue lines lit up, creating a floating screen in front of him. He pressed a few buttons, then looked up. The wind shifted. Suddenly, the energy storm above flickered and a wave of lightning struck the ground near the charging enemies. Their machines sparked and stopped. 3 of them exploded with loud bangs. Some raiders fell back in confusion. Others pushed forward, yelling in a strange alien tongue. Kain stood firm. He raised his hand, pointed to the left side of the battlefield, and tapped his wrist again. The rocky wall beside the path shook and collapsed, crushing 2 enemy vehicles under heavy stones. Serenia's eyes widened. "He's using the storm," she whispered. "A new kind of fight. Kain didn't fight like a soldier. He didn't charge, didn't swing a sword. Instead, he used the world itself as a weapon. He ran to an old fuel station half destroyed in the chaos. He opened a side panel, rewired 2 glowing tubes, and ran a signal through his wrist device. A soft hum filled the air. 5 seconds later, the fuel tanks exploded just as more raiders arrived. Catching them in the blast, the battlefield turned into a puzzle, and Kane was solving it one piece at a time. He found broken tech, turned it into traps. He found fallen wires, turned them into electric fences. Every step he took was smart, fast, and precise. From a distance, Serenia watched, stunned. This man, this simple human, was doing more damage alone than her whole elite unit had done in 2 days. Impossible, she whispered. Turning the Titavalaran soldiers, seeing the sudden shift, stopped running. Some turned back. He's still alive. Commander Kanea is buying us time. Look, he brought down another one. Kane didn't yell or call for glory, simply moved fast and focused. He ducked, dodged, rewired, redirected, and predicted every enemy step like he had done it 1,000 times before. He wasn't strong like a Velaran warrior. He didn't fly. Didn't have psionic power, but he had training. He had a mind built for chaos, and he had human stubbornness that refused to quit. Serenia joins the fight. Serenia couldn't just stand there anymore. Follow me, she shouted to her guards. She rushed toward Kane, her blade glowing faintly in the storm. Her armor sparked with failing energy, but her heart burned with something new, respect. Kane was setting another trap near a broken tower when she arrived. You were told to fall back, she said, out of breath. Kane looked at her calmly. Then you didn't listen. Serenia smirked. No, I didn't. She raised her blade and stood beside him. What's the plan? Kane pointed toward the east. More of them are coming. Too many. But if we collapse that ridge, he pointed, to a rocky cliff, we can block the path and trap them between the fire zone and the crash pits. Serenia nodded. Let's do it. The princess fights beside the human together. They move through the ruins. Kane guided her to hidden power nodes. She sliced wires with her blade. They hacked broken drones to fly into the enemy camp and self-destruct. She used her armor's last energy charge to deflect a plasma shot from hitting Kane, bit by bit. The battlefield changed. Enemy soldiers became confused. Their lines broke. And finally, Kane triggered the main trap. The cliff shook. Kane collapsed. Just as a large wave of raiders reached it, dust filled the air. Then, silence. Velaran soldiers across the field stared in awe. The enemy was scattered. Their machines were broken. The camp was safe for now. Cheers broke out. The humans did it. He turned the battle. Victory. Aftermath and questions later. That night, after the storm faded and fires were put out, Serenia and Kane sat near a small control station. Medics worked in the background. Soldiers rebuilt barriers. A strange calm settled over the camp. Serenia looked at Kane, still trying to understand what she had seen. You fought without weapons, she said, without strength, without any of our tech. And yet, you won. Kane leaned back and looked at the stars above. I didn't win, he said. We survived. That's enough for today. But how? She asked. What training did you have? What power? Kane looked at her. I grew up on Earth. We don't have magic. We don't have advanced shields or mind-reading powers. We have storms, wild nature, cities built over ruins, and people trying to live through it all. We survive through trial and error. We fail fast and learn faster. He pointed to his head. We fight with this. And with this, he said, tapping his chest. Serenia stared at him. All this time, I thought your people were weak. He gave a small smile. That's what everyone thinks until they see what a desperate human can do. A message from the enemy suddenly, a signal came through. A nearby console beeped. A projection lit up. The face of Warlord Dravik appeared dread-skinned, sharp-toothed, and cruel-eyed. Valerance, he said, voice deep and full of hate. You've held your ground for now, but don't think it means you've won. That human you think he saved you, he has only delayed the end. I will burn every world and no clever trick will stop me. Serenia stepped forward. We're not afraid of you. Dravik laughed. You should be, because next time, come myself. The signal ended. Kane's warning. Kane looked at Serenia. That wasn't just a threat, he said. It was a promise. Serenia's jaw tightened. And we'll stop him. Kane stood up. We'll have to do more than that. We'll have to outsmart him at every turn. And next time it won't be enough to fight. We'll need to plan for. The unexpected Serenia looked at him. He said, we survived today. But tomorrow? Kane nodded. Tomorrow. The real fight begins. The night on Arden 6 was quiet, but the silence felt heavy. Smoke still rose from the ground and the air smelled of burned metal and dust. Lights flickered in the broken walls of the command post. Everyone was tired, but no one wanted to sleep. They were waiting for the next attack. In the command tent, Commander Elias Kane stood in front of a table filled with maps, broken tech pieces, and data screens. His sleeves were rolled up. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He was working. Princess Serenia watched him from the side. Her white hair was messy. Her armor had burn marks, and her sword was still at her side. She hadn't taken it off since the battle. You haven't rested, she said. Kane looked at her and gave a small smile. Neither have you. She stepped forward. What are you planning? He pointed at the map. Dravik will return. He saw what we did, and now he'll want to strike harder, faster. We need to be ready. Serenia frowned. Our tech is still broken. Storm fried most of our systems. What can we do without power? Kane tapped his wrist device and said, we improvise. Humans are very good at that. Rebuilding with broken pieces for the next few hours, Kane walked through the ruins with Serenia. And a few engineers, he pointed at broken machines, damaged drones, and empty fuel cells. Don't throw them away, he said. These are tools. But they're junk, one Veleron said. Kane knelt next to a broken drone. No, they're parts of a solution. He used wires from one drone, power cells from a half-burned shield, and pieces from a fallen hoverbike. Slowly, he built a sensor trap that used almost no energy but could detect movement. Serenia was impressed. You make weapons from trash? Kane nodded. That's a human thing. On Earth, we build with what we have. Then if it's not much. She looked around. Maybe your people are smarter than we thought. Kane looked up. Not smarter, just more used to failure. We learn fast because we fail fast. For the worse, by the next day, the base looked different. Tiny traps hidden in rubble, alarm systems made from old communities, turrets powered by solar cells. Kane fixed himself. Walls reinforced with scrap metal and sand. Veleran soldiers watched. In silence, they had never seen anything like it. These weren't beautiful machines. They were ugly, but they worked. Kane stood before the group and gave a short speech. I won't promise an easy fight, but I promise this. If we stay sharp, stay smart, and work together, we can hold this ground. No shouting, no loud orders. Just calm confidence, and somehow made everyone feel stronger. A conversation by the fire that night. Kane and Serenia sat near a small fire. Soldiers rested around them. Some cleaned weapons. Others quietly sang old Veleran songs. Serenia looked at Kane. You confuse me? He chuckled. That's not surprising. You have no army. Yet you stand like you have nothing to fear. Kane picked up a small stone and turned it in his hand. I fear many things, he said. But fear doesn't stop me. It teaches me. She leaned closer. Why did you come to Valara? What did Earth send you for? Surely not just peace. Kane looked into the fire. Peace was part of it. But mostly I came to learn, to see if we could build something greater together. He glanced at her. I didn't come to fight. But I won't run from one. Serenia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, You speak like a warrior, but you fight like a thinker. Kane smiled. Maybe I'm both. Ah! The enemy returned surly the next morning. Alarms sounded. A soldier shouted, enemy forces approaching fast. Kane and Serenia ran to the wall. In the distance, lights moved across the dusty plains. Not just foot soldiers, this time heavy carriers, air bikes, and something massive moving slowly behind them. Kane took a deep breath. He brought everything. Serenia looked through her scope. That's a siege crawler. Can level this base in minutes. Kane turned to the soldiers. Everyone to your posts. Use the traps. Don't waste shots. Let them come close. Serenia gave him a sharp look. You want them to get near? He nodded. That's how traps work. Different kind of battle. The enemy reached the first trap line. Kane triggered a signal. Boom. A hidden fuel tank exploded, flipping to enemy bikes. Riders fell and scrambled. Then another blast, this time from under a pile of rubble. It knocked out a command carrier. The enemy paused, confused. Valeran soldiers began to fire just short bursts, just enough to push them toward the next trap. Kane ran from point to point, guiding soldiers, adjusting traps, calling out warnings. Watched him lead not from the back but from the front, always calm, always focused. He doesn't fight like us, she whispered.
Oh.
But he never stops moving. Holding the line, the battle lasted for hours. Dravek's forces kept coming. But every time Kane had a counter, when they brought EMP weapons, he moved the troops to shielded areas. When they sent in drones, he hacked a few to fly back and explode inside enemy ranks. When the siege crawler finally reached the wall, Kane used old fuel tanks Kane had buried earlier and set them off with perfect timing. The crawler collapsed in a cloud of smoke. Cheers erupted. Serenia raised her sword and shouted, "Push them back!" With fresh energy, Valeran soldiers surged forward. The enemy began to fall back. A moment of awe after the enemy retreated. The sun began to rise. The red sky turned soft orange. Dust blew across the broken ground. Kane sat on a metal crate, drinking water, covered in dirt and sweat. Serenia walked over. "You did it again?" she said. Kane looked up, tired but smiling. "We did know," she said. "I fought many battles, trained in the best war academies, but I've never seen someone lead like you." Kane raised an eyebrow. "I'm just a man." She shook her head slowly. "No, you are a man who refuses." To fall, a gift, and a warning that evening, the Empress herself appeared on a secure holocall. She had watched the battle recording. She spoke to Kane. "Commander, your actions saved a Veleron world. You have earned our respect and our thanks." Kane bowed slightly. "I did what needed to be done." The Empress continued, "But Dravik is not finished. He lost today. He'll come back with more power, more fury." Kane's face grew serious. "Then we must prepare. This isn't just your war anymore. It's ours." The Empress nodded. "Very well. I grant you full command rights. You will work with Serenia to stop this threat, whatever it takes." The signal ended. Cliffhanger ending that night. Under the stars, Serenia stood alone on the wall. Kane joined her. "You've changed us," she said. "No," Kane replied. "You just needed a different way to see yourselves." She looked at him. "You're not like any man I've met." He smiled. "I get that a lot." Then, from the darkness, a signal appeared in the sky. A glowing mark. It was Dravik's symbol. A warning. He was coming. Serenia looked at Kane. "What now?" Kane's eyes narrowed. "Now. We teach them what humans really are." The skies over Arden 6 were quiet again, but the silence felt wrong, like the world was holding its breath. Inside the newly repaired command center, Princess Serenia stood in front of a large screen. Images of enemy troop movements blinked. Across the display, Warlord Dravik was preparing for something big. His army had pulled back but not gone. He was waiting, gathering strength. Behind her, Commander Elias Kane entered the room. His uniform was dusty, and he carried a datapad filled with new battle plans. "You were right," Serenia said without turning. "He's not done. He's just planning the next strike." Kane stepped beside her. "Yes, and if we wait, he'll control where and when it happens." Serenia looked at him. "Then we strike first." Kane shook his head. "No, we do something better. We change the game. Training like humans for the next few days." Kane did something strange. He asked the Veleran soldiers to put away their advanced weapons. He gave them simple, gear-rolled rifles, physical shields, ropes, climbing hooks, and handmade traps. At first they were confused. "This is ancient tech," a soldier said. "Why would we use this?" Kane smiled. "Because when the storm hits, again, your fancy tech will fail." But this always works. Durania joined the training too. She learned how to use her blade without energy support, how to fight in the dirt, and how to think like a human fast. Creative and unpredictable. Kane taught them how to set traps using shadows and noise, track movement by watching wind and dust, create distractions using small fires and broken drones, communicate silently through hand signs. These are survival skills, Kane explained. Back on Earth, we used them for centuries. We had no choice. Serenia watched her soldiers change. They moved faster, thought deeper, made fewer mistakes. One night, she said to Kane, "You turn warriors into survivors." He answered, "That's how humans win. We survive until the enemy doesn't know what to do anymore." The truth about Earth one evening, Serenia and Kane walked outside the camp. The stars above were bright and the air was cool. They sat on a rock hill, looking into the night. "I want to know something," Serenia said. "What is Earth really like?" Kane smiled, looking up. "It's beautiful and dangerous. Forests that stretch for miles, mountains that touch the sky, oceans, deeper than any city. But also earthquakes, wild storms, disease, hunger." She turned to him. "And you live there?" He nodded. "Yes. We built cities, flew to the stars, cured sickness, but we still have trouble, still have war, still have loss. That's why humans are the way we are." She was quiet for a moment. "Your people suffered, but you grew stronger." Kane replied, "We had no choice. Pain taught us to adapt. Fear taught us to think. Loss taught us to care. That's humanity's secret, not power. It's not weapons, but the ability to grow stronger with each step, no matter how hard it is." So looked at him with new eyes. "You're not like us." "No," he agreed. "But that doesn't mean we can't fight together." Enemy plans revealed suddenly. A messenger drone buzzed in the sky. It flew straight toward Kane and dropped a small data crystal. Kane caught it and plugged it into his device. A projection appeared. It was an intercepted message from Dravak's army. "Target: Human Commander Elias Kane. Remove him and the Velerans fall. Strike during the Royal Summit. Use Shadow Team. No survivors." Serenia's eyes went wide. "They're planning to assassinate you." Kane didn't flinch. "Of course. I'm not what they expected. Now I'm their biggest threat." Serenia stood. "We must cancel the summit." Kane shook his head. "Yeah, we hold it, but on my terms." The trap within the summit. Kane had a plan. The Royal Summit was held in a grand hall beneath Arden's main ridge. Leaders from nearby worlds were invited. Kane knew Dravak would send spies, maybe assassins, so he set a trap. He told Serenia, "Let them come. We'll feed them false information. We'll act weak, afraid. Then, we shut the door." Kane placed his best fighters in hidden positions. He rigged the hall with silent alarms and trap switches. He even used Veleran cloaking tech to hide himself. The day of the summit came, alien. Leaders arrived, wearing robes and armor. Music played. Drinks were served. Serena spoke from the front stage, welcoming all. And then it happened. 3 dark figures moved through the crowd, quiet and fast. Their weapons were sharp. Their path led straight to the back entrance. But Kane was already there, waiting. Kane's clever counter as the assassins entered the hall. Kane triggered the traps. Walls sealed shut. Smoke burst from vents. Soldiers moved in fast, surrounding. The enemies, the assassins, fought back, but their weapons failed inside the hidden energy field Kane activated. Serenia herself disarmed the last one with a smooth move and held her blade to his neck. The crowd stood in shock. Kane stepped onto the stage. "These are Dravak's messengers. Let this be proof. He fears what we can do." He turned to Serenia. "Now, let's give him a real reason." Planning the final strike after the summit, Kane gathered the leaders in a private room. "Dravak thinks this world is weak, thinks humans are small. He's wrong," Kane said. He explained his plan. "Fake a retreat from Arden. Make it look like the Velerans are abandoning the planet. Lure Dravik into landing with his full force. Once he enters, trap his entire army inside a canyon, where Kane's traps, terrain tricks, and explosive charges would end the battle in one strike. But it's risky, Serenia said. Kane nodded. Yes, but it will end the war. The bond grows that night. Serenia and Kane stood at the edge of the canyon where the final battle would take place. You've changed us, Serenia said. And me. Kane looked at her. You were never weak. You just needed a different mirror. She stepped closer. I thought you were just a man. But now I see something more. Kane smiled gently. I'm just a man. But I carry all of Earth behind me. That's what makes me strong. A soft silence fell between them. For the first time, there was no war talk, just understanding. But then an urgent call came through Kane's wrist. Dravak's fleet has entered orbit. The red sky of Arden 6 was filled with warships. Warlord Dravak's fleet glowed like angry stars, closing fast on the planet below. Inside the command center, Princess Serenia stood with Commander Elias Kane. The air buzzed with tension and electricity. The moment of truth had come. This is it, Kane said. Dravik thinks he will crush us quickly, but he has no idea what waits for him. Serenia nodded, her white hair glowing faintly in the emergency lights. We've prepared. Well, no one believed you when you said humans could fight like this. I was one of them. Kane smiled gently. It's not about strength, it's about will. The trap is set. The canyon where Kane had planned the final fight was quiet. Dust settled on rocks shaped by time and war. Hidden traps and explosives were buried in every corner. Valoran soldiers hid behind rocky walls, waiting. Kane moved quietly between them, checking gear, giving comm orders. Serenia approached him. Are you ready? Kane looked at the distant horizon where Dravak's forces were landing, as ready as I'll ever be. The enemy arrives. The ground shook with heavy footsteps as Dravak's army poured into the canyon. The air filled with the sound of roaring, machines and angry shouts. The Valoran soldiers stayed hidden, watching. Then Kane signaled. The battle begins suddenly. The traps activated. Explosions erupted in key places, blocking paths and crushing enemy vehicles. Hidden mines lit fires that confused and scared the attackers. Kane's forces moved fast, striking from shadows, but Dravak's troops fought fiercely, trying to break free. Kane's human spirit shins in the chaos. Kane stood out. He wasn't the biggest or strongest, but he was everywhere, leading, helping, fighting smart. When a heavy enemy mech tried to crush a group of soldiers, Kane used his wrist device to hack the mech's controls, turning it against its own. Troops Serenia saw him jump over rocks, use old Valeran weapons in new ways, keep calm when all seemed lost. A moment of truth. Dravak appeared on the battlefield, riding a massive war beast. His voice boomed. You think this trap will stop me? I am Valara's greatest warrior. Serenia stepped forward. Today, you meet a new power. She raised her blade, glowing with human-made energy. Together, Kane and Serenia led the charge. Victory through unity. The battle was fierce but short, with Kane's traps, human tactics, and Valoran bravery. Dravak's army broke. The warlord fell, captured and defeated. The Valoran soldiers cheered. Kane was hailed as a hero, the princess's new belief later. Serenia knelt before Kane. I thought you were just a man, she said, but you showed me what a man can be. Kane smiled softly. I am just a man, but that is enough. The future. Together, the Empress declared a new alliance between Valara and Earth. Serenia and Kane looked at the stars. Together, we'll face any threat. Kane nodded. For we are more than warriors. We are survivors.